My third and final upload today is with regards to the topic of privacy, um, the violation of privacy and the inviolability of a person's private dwellings and residence, and the violation of personal and private information being accessed. As I've mentioned in these uploads, there has been a lot of defamation and disinformation. I've experienced information being withheld from me, and I've experienced social networkers disinforming others with regards to matters about me. The defamation has been very intrusive, and as I've mentioned, the violation of personal dwellings has been even more intrusive. All of this has culminated as the issue of imposter syndrome and identity theft that I've been experiencing and enduring. The topic I'm going to raise in this upload is with regard to an incident that I would hope those judging and assessing these circumstances would give serious concern to. The issue of trespassers violating a person's privacy, entering in unauthorized to a person's dwellings, and gathering information from personal belongings and contacting people that would have been involved or engaged with their target, and gathering not only information, not only gathering stories, not only gathering and creating compilations of falsehoods and private experiences, personal experiences, and then sharing that information publicly. Personal experiences that any person has is of a person or individual's own journey wherever they've been. I've travelled far and wide, and it has come to my knowledge that those perpetrating human rights violations have not just breached confidentiality, violated privacy, but have actually gone out of their way to trek far and wide and engage with individuals that I would have known or would have been in contact with, all in an effort to disrespect my reputation, character, and good name. The first issue of contention is the violation and trespassing, the violation of privacy, the violation of my personal information, and broadcasting, publicly sharing, publicly discussing, publicly circulating personal experiences that I did not condone, that I have not personally shared, and that I have not given permission for other people to be discussing. This is all a part of identity theft and imposter syndrome. The personal experiences that I've had are from my recollections and memories only, shared only willingly with the choice of individuals that I choose to share with. The individuals that have not just breached confidentiality, but have perpetrated worse than identity theft and have caused imposter syndrome and have perpetrated a very serious violation of my personal experiences from China, Germany, North Africa, Cuba, places where I've worked, where I've done voluntary work, humanitarian work. These people that have perpetrated imposter syndrome and identity theft have discussed personal experiences that I have not shared or given anyone consent to share about me. For other people to have access or to have accessed information about another person without authorization is very serious. For people to know details, facts, etc., any aspect of a person's personal history or experiences without consent is a very disturbing aspect of this vendetta of human rights violations. The thought of a person collecting, insulting information and discussing and sharing private experiences about their target is another serious concern for me today. Anyone accessing information about another person that has not been legally consented to, that hasn't been consciously agreed to, is all a part of imposter syndrome, and this is what has happened. Hence the reason for such serious obstacles and obstructions that I'm experiencing. So, for those that are aware of what imposter syndrome is and what identity theft is, the actual act of violating a person's private experiences and doing as much as they possibly are capable of doing to disrespect a person's reputation is all a huge concern. The shocking aspect of this is that there is no respect for privacy. The other shocking aspect of this is the information shared and discussed without consent. As I've mentioned in previous uploads, the attainment of information unethically is highly disrespectful towards human rights. So this is all a part of what this vendetta that I'm experiencing has involved. Identity theft is pretty serious. So that's one perspective. The other aspect of this is what happens with that information. What happens with the information that people unethically attain? Falsifying information is a common occurrence in any human rights violation vendetta. And the information that I've experienced being falsified about me has been absolutely shocking. The protective measures to defend a victim of those that are perpetrating or against those that are perpetrating human rights violations have been minimal in this entire situation. To empathize or to identify with this circumstance, I wonder, would anyone be able to consider how it is for this person, Emer Griffin McElligott, that has experienced strangers, individuals that have no experience of me, that have not had any relationship with me, or that have had any bit of a relationship or involvement with me, discussing personal matters that are insulting, injurious, and falsified. This is a part of the imposter syndrome that's occurring, and this is also a part of the defamation that I'm experiencing. The falsification of any information isn't safe for either the culprit or the victim. And safeguarding our information is what we are all advised about. But when a person is trespassing, as has happened in my circumstances, and when people have been intruded upon in another individual's attempt to disrespect their target's reputation and to cause insult and injuries, is highly concerning. So for those that are aware of what imposter syndrome is, or that have had the experience of it, the issue of information, personal information, is of concern also. The identity theft that has occurred and the imposter syndrome, as I've mentioned, is unnerving. It's also quite disturbing that these individuals are being facilitated in society. And my concern for those that are ignoring this issue is also the fact that there are other culprits or other individuals that are possibly or potentially experiencing or could experience the same occurrences of imposter syndrome as I'm experiencing. So this entire situation has many factors to it. Spiritually, I've been violated. Personally, I've been violated. With regards to my privacy, I've been violated. Financially, I've been violated. Legally, I have been violated. And there has been a huge obstruction and perversion of justice. The identity theft that is occurring, that I am experiencing, without my legal rights being respected, is highly serious. Those endangering innocent people in society that politicians or authorities or civil liberty agencies are all aware of, or might not be aware of, that might be hoodwinked, that might be ignored, or not acknowledged as any threat to society at all, are endangering others also. And this is a concern for me. When it happens once, how many more times does it happen? How many people fall prey to those that are disrespecting human rights and endangering the safety and well-being of innocent victims in society? So the authorities and politicians and the pillars of society that have an obligation and a duty to safeguard all law-abiding citizens are basically also contending with those that are intruding, imposing, and falsifying information and faking evidence and faking circumstances and creating falsehoods that are quite damaging. As a victim of these kind of circumstances, without the advocacy support services or the legal rights, guidance or entitlements that I am fully entitled to, this situation is absolutely shocking for a new mother and a teacher to be experiencing. When I was married in 2015 and gave birth to a beautiful boy, little did I know that my private life, my personal livelihood, would be so severely intruded upon. But the damages that have been caused and the threats in society that are perpetrating these offences, that are not being confronted, that are either directly or indirectly being facilitated, is a huge injustice, a huge act of injustice. Not only injustice against the victims, but against the rights of innocent citizens. So, as a humanitarian that's experiencing and discussing these weighty, heavy issues, I hope the politicians are aware of how serious the circumstances are that have been caused for me. I have not condoned individuals to trespass into my dwellings and access my personal belongings or gather personal information about me for other people's public knowledge. But that is what has happened. And in the meantime, there has been obstacles and disinformation and other serious defamation occurring. The spiritual aspect of this I have already discussed with regards to my ancestry and with regards to my spiritual purpose. This wrongdoing and injustice that I'm experiencing is for the concern of the human rights agencies and the United Nations. This is not a trivial issue just because it's happening to one person that's outnumbered and being victimized by the abuse of power and people power. This is an issue for all people because, as I've said, if it happens once, how many more times is it going to happen? And how many other innocent victims are going to fall prey to people unethically and unlawfully accessing information that they have no entitlement to and endangering innocent lives? So, for the Department of Justice and for the UN agencies and the authorities that are aware of my experiences, I hope you understand the burden that is involved in all of this as a humanitarian, as a peacekeeper, and as a law-abiding citizen. Those people that have caused this, perpetrated this vendetta, and that have intruded upon me, and that have damaged my purpose, my profession, and my private life. I hope the United Nations are fully aware of how sinister the circumstances are. The accessing of information and privacy of information, personal information, is of the utmost importance. People's private lives are private for a reason, and people violating the privacy and private livelihoods of other citizens that they have no right to involve themselves with is highly intrusive. So, justice is what maintains equilibrium in society. Justice is what we all deserve, and justice is what is required in circumstances when such serious human rights violations are occurring. And these are occurring unjustifiably. And as regards the defamation of a person's character, reputation, and good name that has contributed positively to society and that has worked honestly, I am highly concerned for not only those potential targets, but also for those that are implicated and involved wittingly and unwillingly, That's my third upload for today. This is about imposter syndrome in a vendetta of hate crime. This is about disinformation and defamation of a person's good name, reputation, and character. And this is what I am also contending with. So I hope the human rights agencies and the Department of Justice are all aware of the obstruction of justice and perversion of justice that's being perpetrated intentionally to damage an innocent person's life. This is hate crime, and this is what is happening in 2020, which is a very sad sign of the times. So I hope the authorities are safeguarding innocent law-abiding citizens' safety in society without any threats or endangerment of those or by those people that have caused this harm to my life and my livelihood. So that's my final upload. Privacy is priceless, and I hope that more respect will be provided for victims of these kind of violations and victimization in 2020 society.